Nasik, Aharone, you're on.
Wholeness family, certainly again, it's more than an honor, and it's my great pleasure to have this opportunity to share what has been given to myself and Eitai, to the family, to help us along the way as we, traverse this journey that has been very tedious, and this journey has been very painful. But again, we have to remember that we all agree. And so in our agreement, we was what? Walk water, so to speak, and bring this flaw into perfection. And Itai, you did a magnificent job in laying out the foundation of, and it just caused me to walk right on into the topic. What I did, family, I gave a brief definition or meaning to what we're going to talk about today. And of course, it's a, it can be, you know, amended. We can make whatever changes necessary. I titled it Ether, the Unifying Element of Wholeness. Ether, the Unifying Element of Wholeness. Now, I want to start with where he left off scripturally as an allegorical conceptualization for us to understand. It's a very significant term that I'm going to introduce from the Hebrew language to help us to understand. And as we translate this and give meaning to this, where that we will understand it, I think it will set the tone for how we're going to go forward. Because everything that's facing humanity now is that, okay, we've done this, we've been there, we've done that. How do we go forward? How do we go from here? That's the whole question. That's the question in the kingdom. That's the question. How do we go forward? Okay. So we pick up in Genesis, the first chapter, verse 2. And we read, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the spirit, the energy, the power of the creative force moved, and this is the word, moved upon the face of the waters. Now, naturally in the Hebrew, it's in the future. Okay? 10. The word is mirokephet. Mirokephet. Okay? The word is mirokephet. Spelled English phonetics, M, and this is like uh, uh, I guess like a colon, a hyphen, not a hyphen, but semicolon. It says Marahcheft. This is the English phonetics of neurocaphet. Okay,
Nasik, that's the word moved.
that's the word move, right?
Could you
The
spell
word,
that? Could you spell that again, real quick?
okay, M, you know, like apostrophe, R, hold on, Acheft, mirror. Now, well, that's the English phonetics of it.
Uh huh.
Now, this is the word move. Now, I'm going to give you the Hebrew, I'm going to give you the root meaning of it.
Uh
The
huh.
root, resh, hey, fe, so, fe. Resh, hey, face Sophie, Rakefet, Rakef. Now, and this is what it means. It says to be soft. Number one in Hebrew, to be soft,
Yes.
etymology. And it means to be moved, M-O-V-E-D. Then affected, okay? To be moved, comma, affected. Okay? It says, with the feeling of tender love.
Wow.
Hence, to cherish with fear, tremor, hence to tremble. Spoken of the bones of a person terrified. Then this is in the PL building now. It says brood, B-R-O-O-D, brood over young ones. To cherish young, in parentheses, as an eagle. Figuratively used of the Spirit of God who brooded over the shapeless mass of the earth, cherishing and vivifying. Okay, now this word brood. Now we're going to go to the English to help the word brood. This is the way it's used in the Webster 10th Collegiate Dictionary. Mine is the 9th Collegiate. 10th and the 9th, same basic definition. The word brood. Okay? It says brood. More et Barm, B-A-R-M, 12th century. Okay, the noun. One, the young of an animal or a family of young, especially the young, in parentheses, as of a bird or insect, close parentheses, hatched or cared for at one time. Two, a group having a common nature or origin. That sounds like us, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now, let's keep in mind, you know, we're looking at the Hebrew and we're looking at the English. Now, we got to make some comparisons here.
Yes.
And we got to see how this works holistically and harmoniously, not just in intellectual conceptualization of these terms, but this has everything to do with the nature that we possess in relationship to one another.
Yes.
Yes.
Because other than that, now, this is just intellectual exercise, and it ain't gonna produce nothing.
That's correct.
Okay, keep in mind now, and we got to move out of this so-called energetic spiritual realm, and it's just all of that. It is one and the same. Spiritual, physical, that's all one. It ain't no separate nothing like that. Ain't no divided nothing. Okay, brood. Number two, it says 14th century. Keep for breeding. Now, I'm sorry, kept for breeding. Okay, I said keep kept for breeding. Now, remember the Willie Lynch?
Yes.
What did he talk about, Eitai? Explain to us for a moment about what was the significance of breeding the brute with, you understand? And because they wanted to brute, meaning the brother wanted them to what? be the labor force, right?
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Kept for breeding. This ain't about no livestock. This is about, you understand, us as a people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Continuing on. Number 3, brood, the verb transit. No, I'm sorry. That was the adjective, the 14th century kept. Now we turn to number 3, the verb transit, 15th century. Number 1, 1A, to sit on or incubate, in parentheses, eggs, like a hen or a bird sitting on eggs.
Yes.
We know this is exactly what Eitai was just talking about, our incubation.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Our incubation and our emanation into this realm.
Yes.
Okay. Continuing on, to produce by or as if by incubation, to hatch, you know. Then it said to cover young with, to cover the young with the wings. 3, to think anxiously or gloomily about, to ponder. Number 1, verb transit, of a bird, to brood eggs or young, to sit quietly and thoughtfully, meditate, to hoover, to loom.
Nasik,
3, yes, sir.
you made a point, and I want us to not go past this too much. You said
Go ahead.
you said incubate, right? And incubate, it involves one element, and that is heat. That is heat.
Right.
That is the fire.
Absolutely.
But
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep in mind that this, at all times, because we've been programmed to think that this creation thing that Nasik is focusing on was perfect, but it wasn't a perfect emanation. Nasik, it wasn't a perfect creation because that element of heat or fire in the incubation
Yes.
process was bypassed.
Right. Absolutely.
So the
Excellent.
result, the result of everything was imperfect. Was
Absolutely.
imperfect. But go right ahead.
Absolutely. Excellent point.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Continuing on, to dwell gloomily on a subject. Then it says to worry. Finally, to be in a state of depression. Now, what state, since we bypassed the heat of the unit,
Right.
Yes. Yes.
have we in?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay? So we see how this process, as Eitai just said, it wasn't a perfect, but and when we read the scripture in context, we already see tohu bovohu
Right.
means that it wasn't perfect. All right?
Right.
We just didn't understand how all of this worked, So we wanted to open the point there and make sure that we understood that this word mirokefet, or as I gave you the word here, and I want to go back to 7363, 1 second, to make sure that we're clear, okay. The Hebrew root is resh, kefet, fe, okay? And it meant to be soft, to be moved, affected. Now, so when we consider, how all of this had to do with the biblical concept of this God of the Bible,
Yes.
We got to understand, you know, this from an allegorical point of view and not from a historical point of view.
Right.
Okay. So now we're going to go and look at the process of how this allegory in these symbols played out to produce what it is that we are looking at as quote unquote the Big Bang or the physical, you understand, creation as we see it. We're going to start by using the notes that I put together. Ether, the unifying element of wholeness. It said, why is ether a relative seldom used term, yet having such great power and responsibility as the unifying element within the creation? That's a question.
Mm-hmm.
One reason given is said to be that it is perceived to be a very mysterious element within the cosmos. Although the real reason is that it holds the key to what has been concealed from the exoteric masses of humanity and kept only for the esoteric. Those, whom was given stewardship
Yes.
over the creation during our depression in the simulated reality. And so during what is referred to as slavery in the simulated reality. Okay? It says, ether is the unifying element that merges / marries or unifies the four elements known as the life power / force: fire, earth, wind / air, and water.
Nasik.
Ether, yes, sir.
So could we say that's the real marriage?
That is the marriage.
Right. That is the marriage.
Oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
so high. Look.
That's the marriage.
Yes.
That's right.
It,
That's right, brother.
Mm-hmm.
remember, we kept trying to what? Figure out how to fall in love, rise in love,
Right. Right.
out of
Yes.
ourselves, and marry them and be
Right.
two gonna be one flesh. How two gonna be one flesh?
Malkiel, that's perfect.
Dang.
That's perfect, brother. That's perfect. Go on,
So
see.
you're absolutely right. You're
Right.
absolutely right. Torah again.
Yes.
Ether is the medium now known to be the fifth element that creates the concept of unity that brings the other four elements of nature into wholeness as the rarefied element. Now, this word rarefied, RAREFIED, element formerly believed to fill the upper regions of space, in parentheses heaven,
Right.
a medium that is the undulatory theory. And that undulatory theory is to form or move in waves.
Uh-huh.
The light, now listen to this, the light, which is the knowledge of the forever time.
Mm.
This concept of light here is the knowledge of the forever time that has always been prevalent and
Yeah.
always been in existence
Yes.
Physical
that we
knowledge.
lost contact with. Did I hear somebody say something?
I just said physical immortality, as the Father put it.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
That permeates all space or heaven and transmits transverse waves. Now we're going to define transverse wave. A noun, 1922. And see, these dates fall perfect from the time of the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th century, giving
Yeah.
them that cycle of time
Right.
for this simulated reality of duality to become the dominant, force on the planet.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
1922. One, a wave in which the vibrating element moves in a direction perpendicular, meaning exactly upright,
That's right.
or ascending in the direction of advance. Now, key point here, in the direction of advance, meaning progression, moving forward in development or ascension.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yes.
And I use the word ascension there because we understand development. It can be how it can be misunderstood,
Correct.
or it can be used in a downward. But I'm not talking about, we're talking about ascending, okay?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, development or ascension of the wave. So in other words, there's something going, before and causing this what? Ascension of upward movement that causes one's consciousness to what? Go up
That's
as they develop this knowledge and apply this knowledge of the
Yes.
forever time.
Yes.
You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Perpendicular. We reading definition number 4. Perpendicular. Relating to, uniting, or consisting of individuals of dissimilar type or on different levels.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see the similar types and we can see different levels of consciousness that everybody's on.
Yes.
Now, just for a moment, I want to go back to the article from a black hole to Antarctica. I want to just read a little point here to tie in why dissimilar types and different levels, okay? We pick up here where it said, quote, I think this is the real thing, in the quote, said John Learned, a neutrino expert. And he talking about neutrino, he talking about neutrons, okay?
Right.
Neutron expert at the University of Hawaii, who is not part of Ice Cube. In an email, he said, quote, the true beginning of high energy neutrino astronomy, of which we have dreamed for many decades, end of quote. Now he added, quote, we will start seeing into the guts of the most energetic objects in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Neutrons are among the most plentiful particles in the universe, far outnumbering the protons and electrons out of which we are composed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Neutrons outweigh them, far outweigh them, more plentiful. They say they have no electrical charge and so little mass that it has not been accurately measured yet. They interact with other material, other matter, only by gravity and the so-called weak nuclear force, and thus flow through us, Earth, and even miles of lead, L-E-A-D, that ghost. Now, I want to show you something about lead, like a ghost. Now we're going to the dictionary, and we're going to look up the word lead. Now listen to this here. Okay. Lead. We're going to start with the first one. It says lead, the verb, led. So lead and the verb led, L-E-D, and it says leading. Now, here it means to go. Okay, that etymology is to go. 12th century, to guide on a way, especially by going in advance. B,
yes.
To direct on a course or in a direction. To serve as a channel for. Okay, two, to go through. L-I-V-E, to live.
Mm-hmm.
And it says three, one, to direct the operation, activity, or performance of. Two, to have charge of. B, to go at the head. Okay, to be first in or among. Okay, now I'm gonna skip down to the next one, lead. Okay, now this is the noun. This is the noun. First one was the verb. Now it says 1A, 14th century. Positions at the front, the vanguard. Two, initiative. Three, the act of privilege of leading in cards. Okay, number B. Number one, leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Two, example, president. P-R-E-C-E-D-E-N-T, president. Take president.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
C, a margin or measure of advantage or superiority or position in advance. Next one. One that leads at. And two, well, we'll hold up right there on the definition of lead. So it puts you, and it puts you in the forefront, and it gives you, you know, this authority and this power that, you know, has been bequeathed to you as being who we really are.
Nasik,
Mhm.
that sounds a whole lot like the ego before the flock.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You know, so we wanted to establish that. Now, as we continue on with this similar types or different levels, we can see how all of this fit. Continuing on, it says, the key to clarity is found in the word rarefied, the adjective, 1941. Definition one, of or relating to a select group. Now we know who that select group is.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Esoteric. Now, of course, you know, that, you understand, was taken from us, or we gave it away and gave it to, you understand, the Albert man during our emanation.
Yes.
So it became, you understand, the stewardship over this knowledge while we were serving, you know, through the flaw that we created, you understand, to bring everything back into wholeness or perfection.
That's correct.
Continuing on. And number two, under the term rarefied, number two is very high. And I thought that was very interesting.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
very high.
Yes.
Very high elevated, you know.
Yes.
You know, perfection, wholeness. Continuing on. The other form of the word rarefy is RAREFY. The one I just read was RAEFIED. Now, we rarefy the verb. The etymology means to make. 14th century. To make rare, thin, and porous, POROUS, or less dense, to expand without the addition of matter.
Yes. Yes.
Without the addition of matter. Two, to make more spiritual or energetic.
There you go.
Refined or abstruse. Abstruse, the verb transit, to make less dense. Now, I want to bring up a point. I need us to go back and look at young Pharaoh do the presentation about the ascension. And where he breaks down the proton, neutrons, how you had to work from the carbon 12 back to 6, so we could progress in a much lighter form to move through the fourth dimension into the fifth dimension. Other than that, he said that the sun would what? Burn you up.
That's right.
So we need everybody to go back and look at that in respect to the notes that you're going to be getting, okay? Abstruse, the adjective, 1599. Etymology, Latin, to conceal. 1, difficult to comprehend. Now, this is what I've been talking about when we talk about abstract concepts.
Yes.
Right.
Difficult to impossible to understand, because there is no connection, there is no unity, there is no wholeness. So what are you connected to? It's just out there, you know. Don't even really exist. You know. Continuing on. It says recondite, adjective, 1649, hidden from sight, conceal. 2, difficult or impossible for one of ordinary, or I said double-minded or dualistic in their processing of knowledge.
That's right.
In understanding or knowledge to comprehend. It becomes almost impossible, you know, as we've been saying, when you come under that duality, you know.
Crystal clear, I see.
Should be very important here, because I want to bring in a very significant point here. From Abu Ghadol Ben-Ami's book, Dehumanization. I shared this with Eitai, and I'm reading on page 39. And I'm going to take the last sentence on page 39 and listen closely now. It says, since we can extend and alter cognitive function by way of the Holy Spirit or artificial intellect, then at least in principle, What counts is the ability to ascertain the source and alteration of information which determines the medium through which it moves. Now, hold on now. We're going to go back and explain something. First of all, cognitive function is not thinking. Remember, we explained cognition is knowing.
That's correct.
So,
Right.
without knowing the difference between the organic, using Holy Spirit, or artificial intellect, meaning, you understand, artificial knowledge, then you cannot, in principle, possess the ability to ascertain the source of any alteration of any information, and you cannot determine the medium through which it moves.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's important that we understand wholeness and unity and oneness if we're going to what? Understand what we are talking about. We see how important it is, this unification of ether, this element bringing things into unity, okay? Continuing on. When information flows, the most important end result will be the integrated processing and application of an idea that will weave together activity in brain, body, soul, and observable world. So now, if information is flowing and you do not understand how it is integrated, and we have not understood, this is
Right.
why ether is so important.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
In the fifth element of unifying these things, how it integrates and processes the application of an idea of ascension, the idea of perfection, idea of wholeness.
Yes.
Okay? How it weaves together the activity within your brain, your body, soul, and observable world. So now, once we really get this, family, you're going to literally see a difference in your physical makeup.
That's correct.
Yes. Yes.
You're going to actually see it.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing on. However, an observable world still requires that your eyes be, quote, open, end of quote, by consciousness. Now remember, in the Hebrew concept, you can't separate consciousness from knowledge. Knowledge is consciousness, and consciousness is knowledge.
That's correct.
So without this knowledge of wholeness,
Right.
there's absolutely no way to understand how it flows. There's absolutely no way for us to understand any changes or differences in our makeup.
Mm-hmm.
We got to understand this wholeness, oneness. Now here's your key point. To our chagrin, to our disquietedness, to our humiliation, to our, you understand, embarrassment,
Mm-hmm.
Prophet
Mm-hmm.
conveys with a surety that in the latter days, the effects of the dominant flow and alteration of knowledge would become discernible. How will it become discernible? Not under the influence of duality,
Right.
while simultaneously, out from under duality, the possibility of change would be revealed. So if we are not out from under the influence of the double mind,
Right.
there is no possibility of change would be revealed. You couldn't see no change being revealed.
Right.
Now he said, now this is the key. He said, this is the opportunity when this change is revealed to experience what is prophetically referred to as salvation. So now, if salvation is to be perceived and understood, we got to understand what we're talking about today in terms of ether being the unifying element of wholeness.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, Continuing on, tying it all together. Abba Ben Ami uses the term inexplicable. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, I skipped a portion. Going back to 1649, the word recondite, continue that definition. Hidden from sight, concealed, difficult, or impossible for one of ordinary or double-minded or dualistic in their processing of knowledge and understanding or knowledge to be comprehended. Word porous, we talk about porous, less dense, to be expanded without addition of matter, porous. Adjective, 15th century. 1a, possessing or full of pores, P-O-R-E-S. B, containing vessels. 2, permeable to fluids, permeable to fluids. Now, we got to understand here that everything that the ascension element activate causes you to become a vessel containing, you understand, a high energy that has been what? Given based upon the what? Transverse wave in terms of the energy force that unifies or marries these elements. Now we are what? And I'm going to use a point here. While Eitai mentioned about the sun not being, you know, the optimum element,
Yes.
you know, that provides the energy or the nutrients. The solar system is not that. It is the cosmic, you understand, element, just like he said. And we're going to get to that to prove this. Okay? So we see that this energy, that this concept of the unifying elements has activated for us. And we're going to see how it all ties in as we continue. Here we go. We says, Abba Ben Ami uses the term inexplicable as a definition within the formula. Now, I want to go back to the word inexplicable, and it's what? This concealed, difficult, or impossible for ordinary individuals, you understand? The recondite, impossible for ordinary, but this inexplicable is the same thing. Without this understanding of the unity and oneness,
Right.
It's inexplicable in trying to explain what is actually taking place. It's impossible to explain it.
Right. That's right.
Whereas we continue on, inexplicable in the formula, adjective, 15th century, incapable of being explained, interpreted, or accounted for. We couldn't account for what our beliefs were in terms of what we call physical immortality, what we call the energy of the creative force being applicable in this whole process. We couldn't explain it until now.
Right. Right.
We couldn't.
That's true.
It said, thus we are able to see why it was necessary to consider ether as the fifth element that would be the unifying, merging the four elements of nature known as the life power / force. The formula, in fact, referred to components that interact as a whole through your and the four elements of nature known as the life force, earth, wind, fire, water. These components, when unified and applied as a whole, create inexplicable positive energy. This is what we were just talking about, as prophesied by Isaiah. that energy will create new types of matter never before seen. And certainly we didn't perceive there was no new tissue, new energy, and new types of matter being. We just thought that was all spiritual.
Not
Right.
quick question here.
Came.
We were used to through the compulsory educational system viewing things energetically in terms of neurons, protons, electrons, like that, and had no idea that there were that it was more a more refined element, like this New York Times article that you presented. These neutrinos are the more refined energetic elements.
Absolutely right.
Would you say so that they are elements on within another realm? Possibly this fifth element manifestation of our energetic nature on that level. Correct?
That's what I would say. That's exactly what I would
All
say.
right, I got to get that the date and the author of that article because we got to go into that now. See,
I agree. I
yes,
agree. No
all
problem.
right.
No,
So yeah,
no
that's
problem.
that's the fifth expression beyond the electromagnetic world of neurons, protons, electrons, etc., and so on. These
Now
neutrinos,
come. Now come. Uh,
represent a fifth element
right.
relative to those things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
got it, got it,
Agreed.
got it, got it.
Agreed. Right. Okay. Energy produced from wholeness, unity, the Yah consciousness will go with us everywhere, causing us in the utilization of the elements to drink from a fountain of living waters and to never be thirsty again. No one will ever die from thirst. This is the life giving correct knowledge that flows from the whole unity of consciousness of one's divinity. The energy created by this unique, extraordinary whole will yield a level capable of sustaining and creating, bringing forth new matter, cells, tissues, and organs. The more we become whole, the greater the individual and national power and energy for sustaining life. Ben Israel. And we move now to scriptural reference to show how all of this, and we started off there and we moved back here, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved up on the face of the water. Now, the sincere desire is to try and give some perceived background or reference for our statement because it will be completely new and challenging to the previous teaching most have been given. Needless to say, this is the revelation being shared with the family. This is the true understanding of the power of the name Yahweh
Yes, it is.
and the spirit of Yahweh. God moved upon the face of the waters, which is a symbolic term used to express the process of how the element of life manifests itself into the physical realm, be it known as a process.
Yes,
In truth, it is a continuous action
yes.
occurring simultaneously and eternally. Thus, Abba Ben Ami gave us the insight with the formula, and we already quoted the formula.
Yeah.
We have been exposed to the tetragram. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is interesting because I found this in one of the books that I had by Michael Bajan, them the Dead Sea Scroll, and I found it interesting. They got the Tetragrammaton being 5 letters instead of 4.
Uh-huh.
YAHWAH. We see this form of the name carries 5 letters. This should not be foreign in the Hebrew. Yud, Hey, Shin, Vav, Hey, being 5 also. Here we are able to see what Abba Ben-Ami meant when he said how these components interact as a whole through Yah and the 4 elements of nature known as the life power force, earth, wind, and fire. There had to be and must be a medium through which it activates the energy / spirit of the life power / force that happens to be known as ether, merging the Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey into the 5 elements or unified whole as a Yud, Hey, Shin, Vav, Hey, known as the Pentagrammaton as the new name.
Yes.
Then we quote Revelation, the 2nd chapter, verse 17. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. To him that overcome will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, save as he that receiveth it. And that's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yes, it
That's
is.
Nasik, how many times have we read that?
Oh,
Right.
Had no idea.
Okay, continuing on. It says, him that's overcome, that's going to Revelation 2:17. Revelation 3 and 12, I'm sorry, Revelation 3 and 12. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, holy, one perfection, which cometh down out of heaven. And we just got to talk about ether, right?
Right. Come on.
From my God, and I will write upon him my new name.
Yes.
And now we can clearly see the new name, he shall see. And the he is, this is what they say in the Hebrew, they say he would be what? 3rd person singular. See, we know they didn't play with the language because they had to give power and dominance to, the simulated reality and social construct that had everybody trapped.
That's right.
But 3rd person singular, that got you looking for, an intermediate or somebody else to come, and assist you, and then you be under a social system that they've created. But we know, salvation got to come from you. You have to be
right.
first person, first person, so 1st person singular. Every man has to save his own self. Now we're going to move into a portion here of the article to tie the Big Bang, into this here. Going back to from a black hole to Antarctica, a couple key points here.
Nasik, give me
Yes.
the date of that New York article and the title so I can pull it up.
Okay, New York Times International, Friday, July 13, 2018. Okay. Now,
Okay, let me see if I can get it. Is it called It Came from a Black Hole and Landed in Antarctica?
now it says from a black hole to Antarctica. That's the title of it.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll find it.
It says astronomers gather clues to try to figure out where cosmic rays come from. Subtitle. Now, interesting date here. On September 22nd, 2017. Now, September 22nd, 1967 was the initial vision of Baba Ben-Amin.
Wow.
Mm,
It says,
that's not coincidence.
yeah, September 22nd, 2017, a particle known as the neutrino zigged down from the sky and through the ice of Antarctica at nearly the speed of light, setting off a cascade of alarm in the array of decors called Ice Cube. Within seconds, Ice Cube had alerted an armada of astronomical satellites, including the Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope. That spacecraft traced the neutrino back to an obscure dot in the sky, black hole. A distant, now listen to this, a distant galaxy known as T is in Tom, X is in Xmas, S is in Sally, 0506 plus 056. Now listen to this. Just off the left shoulder of the constellation Orion,
Mm-hmm.
which was having a high energy outburst of X-rays and gamma rays. Continuing on, while astronomers around the world scrambled to their telescope to get in on the fun, the Ice Cube scientists scoured their previous data and found that there had been previous outbursts of neutrinos from the galaxy, which they nicknamed, quote, Texas source, end of quote, including an erroneous neutrino outburst in 2014 and 2015. Now, we got to look into this Texas source. Eitai, we got to look into why they nickname it the Texas source.
Yes. I'm
okay.
on it. I got the article. Yeah.
All right. Astronomers said the discovery could provide a long sought clue to one of the enduring mysteries of physics and the cosmos. where does the rain of high energy particles from space known as cosmic rays come from?
Nasik, we already know.
We already know,
We already
absolutely
know.
right.
We already know.
Right. The, lead, the leading suspects have long been quasars. They are super massive black holes in the centers of galaxies where matter and energy get squeezed like toothpaste out of the top and bottom of a donut or doomad swirling material in a violent jet. Now they know at least one which that seems to be the case. TX0506 plus 056 is a type of quasar known as a blazar, in which our line of sight from Earth is along the jet, right down the gun barrel. The term blazar comes partly from BL lacritate, a star-like object that turned out to be the first of those objects ever recognized. We have found the first source of cosmic rays, quote, end of quote, says Francis Hazen of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, an Ice Cube director in an interview. Closing the point. Closing point. It says neutrons are among the most plentiful particles in the universe, for far outnumbering protons and electrons, out of which we are composed. They have no electrical charge and so little mass that it has not been accurately measured yet. They interact with other material only by gravity and the so-called weak nuclear force, and thus flow through us, Earth, and even miles of lead like ghosts. Yet in theory, they are all over, produced by radioactive decays of other particles. They are flooding us from nuclear reaction in the sun, distant supernova explosion, and even the Big Bang. The previous great moment in the neutrino astronomy happened in 1987 when some 25 neutrons were recorded in 3 detectors on Earth, coincident with a supernova explosion in the large Magellanic Cloud, a nearby galaxy. And I'll close with the turning point. In the turning point, the one I have, it's page 38. It's in the Newtonian world machine. Okay? And that puts us back with the conceptual time cycle, why I said earlier that those dates of 1900,
Yeah.
and so they come up with it was, and I'm gonna just read, the worldview and value system that lie at the basis of the culture and that have to be carefully re-examined were formulated in their essential outlines in the 16th and 17th century. Between 1500 and 1700, there was a dramatic shift in the way people pictured the world and in their whole way of thinking. The new mentality and the new perception of the cosmos gave our Western civilization the features that are characteristic of the modern era. They became the basis of the paradigm that has dominated our culture for the past 300 years and now about to change. Now, I'm going to jump over to key point here. Okay. Aristotle and the church in the 13th century, Thomas Aquinas combined Aristotle's comprehensive system of nature with Christian theology and ethics, and in doing so, established the conceptual framework that remained unquestioned throughout the Middle Ages. The nature of the medieval science was very different from that of contemporary science. It was based on both reason and faith, duality, and in its main goal was to understand the meaning and significance of things rather than prediction and control. Medieval scientists, looking for the purpose underlying various natural phenomena, considered questions relating to God, the human soul, and ethics to be of the highest significance. The medieval outlook changed radically in the 16th and 17th centuries. The notion of an organic, living, and spiritual universe was replaced by that of the world as a machine, and the world machine became the dominant metaphor of the modern era. A better term for the world machine would be the world's matrix.
Right.
This is the matrix that the world is trapped in, this dualistic way of doing things that was set in motion during the 15th to the 19th century. Continuing on, you said the development was brought about by revolutionary changes in physics and astronomy, culminating with the achievement of Copernicus, Galileo, and Newton. The science of the 17th century was based on a new method of inquiry, advocated forcefully by Francis Bacon, which involved a mathematical description of nature and the analytical method of reasoning conceived by the genius of Descartes. Acknowledging the crucial role of science in bringing about these far-reaching changes, historians have called the 16th and 17th century the age of scientific revolution. The scientific revolution began with Nicolaus Copernicus, who overthrew the geocentric view of Ptolemy and the Bible that had been accepted dogma for more than 1,000 years. Now, they make you think
that's the
here.
inversion, Nasik.
That's right. This is it.
Inversion.
This is the inversion.
Yes.
The geocentric view of Ptolemy and the Bible changed, and here's what they did. It said that had been the fundamental, guiding, perceptions for more than 1,000 years. Now, after Copernicus, the earth was no longer the center of the universe.
That's right.
But merely one of the many planets circling a final star at the edge of the galaxy. And man was robbed of his proud position as the central figure of God's creation. When that was set in motion, all of that, that's it, Eitai. That's absolutely it. Right?
That's correct.
Right. When this was set in motion, now we go back to what took place where, the Spaniards and all of that, what they call Columbus discovering America,
Right.
all of this was initiated, you understand, all our land, our wealth, and everything was taken from us during that cycle of time.
That's correct.
Right.
To the stated reality. So this brings us up to speed in terms of the article and what was given to us in terms of how this fifth element plays this major role in the uniting of the elements of life causing everything, you know, in the creation to be, you know, well, I'm gonna use the word inverted back to its original organic state.
That's
You
correct.
know?
Yes.
So this is what I wanted to share with the family today. And this point, you know, we'll close it. And if any questions or comments, and we'll go from here.